Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We are a pro wrestling podcast. We are the greatest pro wrestling podcast on the planet. That isn't as big as all the other greatest pro wrestling podcasts on the planet yet.
But we're getting bigger.
See that, Legion? Everyone that started with us, just remember you were here first.
Dude, you're like those friends.
You're the cool kids that like listen to Linkin Park before everyone else listened to Linkin Park.
You're the cool kids that didn't stop people from sitting at the lunch table in high school, but you just added more tables to it. It's a real story.
Those guys.
Well, that really happened in our high school.
that did in fact happen. So anyway, my name, stevezapf. With me as always this week is my tag team partner, my partner in crime, Mr. Showtime, Michael Wryght, giving us a big boom. How you doing, Michael?
Oh, you know me, Steven. I'm living the dream.
Oh, man. So much stuff to get into for wrestling this week. First, though, let's get into the nonprofits. As always, we do promote Tap Cancer Out, a series of jiu-jitsu tournaments that helps out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descent, and of course, Tom Coughlin's J-Fund. I love it because all three of us have now gotten into saying it like that.
You gots to. I don't want to, but I gots to.
We have the American Red Cross and their disaster relief fund. Obviously, we have been pushing this since all of the hurricanes have hit the entirety of the East Coast. Folks, as always, please help out however you can with these. If it's money, if it's time, whatever it is, please help out. And the last one is Chris Bay's GoFundMe. This one's important to us personally, as not only are we fans, but we are former wrestlers. Chris Bay, for those who still don't know, was performing a springboard cutter and landed poorly, had to be rushed for emergency neck surgery. I have heard that he is doing better, but everyone is stepping up to try to help out with him, and we do hope that he gets a speedy recovery. He is a very, very talented young performer, not just in the ring, but in entertainment in general. I know he has a very bludgeoning music career. I may be saying the word wrong. He has a blooming music career. I will use that version. There we go. I got there.
Blooming.
All right, guys. But I heard a rumor that
I just want to strike on that. Like, I have to kind of commend the wrestling industry on how they've taken such a turn over our lifetime around wrestler safety, around like performers pulling back work days, supporting them within whatever demons that they happen to have, injuries, things along those lines. It's not perfect by any means, but when you look back at when we were kids compared to where we are now, it is like night and day. And you know, it's such a dangerous sport to participate in. So that's why we kind of bring up the support for Chris and everything like that, to make sure that he's getting what he needs. He goes out there to entertain us night in, night out, puts his body at the risk like everybody else does. And, you know, these accidents unfortunately do happen. And, you know, as a community, it's awesome to see how many people have come together to really support him.
I completely agree with that. And there's been a lot of different support groups like this are supporting GoFundMe's. I know we didn't bring it up as much, but there was also one for Dutch Mantel, who I know he's an older guy, but him and his wife both recently got, I guess it wouldn't be re-diagnosed, but had, I guess it was in a form of remission, but they have sepsis. And they both basically almost died recently. And I know the wrestling world stepped up with that one with a GoFundMe as well. And just in general, even if we're going to talk about the big wrestling world, the WWE still offers a wellness program for anyone who has ever worked with them. So if they go through some type of substance abuse or anything like that, and they are looking to get help, WWE will literally put them through the help to get there.
And not to erase any black eyes that they've received or things that they've shoveled under the rug, but like the whole point is to try to get better. They got tons of room to get better, to support these guys as they go through men and women, like to go that just put their body at the risk, and like really, it's a damaging sport. The So just giving props where it is, and mostly I said that to give props to those who have already donated to Chris, because I think that the community coming together to support him is huge, and they all these places still need to get better. They make a lot of money, and supporting their workers should be the bare minimum of what they do, and just acknowledging how far it's come from back in the day. I was watching something the other day around it's Nowinski, right? Who got into all the CTE stuff.
Yes.
And like how it kind of originally was scoffed at as pseudoscience, and then the WWE was like the first one to really pull him in to understand more about it. And again, not perfect. They still get people dropped on their heads and all. They did eliminate chair headshots, some other things to try to help in that aspect of things. It's just refreshing to know there's always bad press that the WWE and the other ones get because of the history, because of what the challenges it takes, the demons that some of these wrestlers have to battle, and I don't know, just wanted to kind of put a little spotlight on that. I love this community. Like it's rare that you see a community come together like this. Like everyone is supported in this at the end of the day, regardless of how many trolls hide under bridges in the community at the same time.
I mean, we are still we're a dysfunctional family, but we put the fun in dysfunctional.
Exactly.
Oh man! All right, so Showtime. I heard a rumor. Me and Hound have heard a rumor that we're supposed to be talking about wrestling on this show.
What?
I don't know. So I guess we should get into that a little bit. Some of that wrestling stuff. Around the wrestling world, unfortunately, Showtime, I know this is not usually the episode where we talk about AEW stuff, but unfortunately, the news in the outside world still deals mostly with AEW right now.
First off, one reason why I'll allow it.
Because there's a boom. Yes, I knew it. So, friend of the show, Big AJ Bufumo, he apparently broke his foot either just before the match or during the match at Full Gear. He says it was during the flying clothesline. You said you heard that Sean Ross from Fightful.
Yeah, I could be mistaken on the source, but someone from a Fightful object had said it actually happened before the match, which is even better with AJ coming out. Not that I think that after that first little thing saying that these wrestlers should go out there and wrestle hurt and put their body at more harm. But what I had heard was that he had broken it beforehand. He really didn't want to let the fans down. There was a lot that went into this. AJ, like I know, even when we worked with him on the independents back in the day, he was always about providing the product that he had sold. And in his home state, in this huge opportunity for him, there was nothing that would have stopped him from getting out there and getting the fans to enjoy the show he promised. And
also, we haven't been given too many details on how bad of a broken foot it is. Like it could be either way. I'm sure he was in a lot of pain going through this.
Oh, sure.
He said that adrenaline kicked in more than anything else, which you and I can both vouch for.
Remember when my knee was this big?
Yeah,
and I wrestled on it
because you had it wrapped in your knee pad.
Knee pads kept that all in place. Billy Gunn looked at me afterwards and was like, "What in the world did you do?" And I was like, "I wrestled."
You never worked without knee pads ever again.
Yeah, that was towards the end of my career after that injury. I only had a couple more in-ring appearances.
Oh, man. We got, but that was AJ going out there with a broken foot. First of all, yes, we do commend you. We touched on it a little bit in our Full Gear review. I wanted to touch on it more that again, we'd like to find out a little bit more about, I'll probably end up messaging him, seeing how he's doing and seeing how bad the break is, just to see how long he's going to be off his feet, or if he is going to be off his feet at all. I'm sure it's going to end up being something like a walking boot or just on crutches for a bit. I think he's
Well,
already reporting.
Does he have the healing factor? Is he already healed now? Is that how that works?
I mean,
with superheroes?
I think so. It's strength beyond strength. It just goes through his body.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know his list of superpowers, and I know he doesn't. He's not technically a superhero in character anymore. But just saying,
I mean,
still
I
in
think
there.
I don't know if he necessarily.
Power Child's still in there.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't know if he necessarily needs to call on it, or if it is like a healing factor, like Wolverine, like he just automatically heals.
Or if he has to, I'm saying.
Or if he has to actually do the strength beyond strength, and then all of a sudden he's like done. He's good.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this. All right, a little bit more AEW news. So the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega are all booked for Wrestle Dynasty in Japan. This event is basically just day 2 of Wrestle Kingdom. And I know they don't want to use the 2-day format anymore. And this was why kind of Tony Khan got involved along with CMLL and Ring of Honor, even though that's all still pretty much Tony Khan. Here's my issue with this. The Bucks are working from home is their line, right? And Omega has been out for the better portion of the year, if not the full year, with the diverticulitis. And both of these, the entirety of the Elite group, I realize that Wrestle Dynasty is technically an AEW event, but it's an AEW event that they have not been advertising whatsoever. So they are making their returns to the ring for a company for basically New Japan, which I understand it's a working agreement, but you're making this return for a company that you're not the executive vice president of. It just, and I get keeping the working relationship. I get how big they are in Japan, but at the same time, I think that this might be more of a knock on AEW. They need to start making a bigger deal of this show during their product so that everyone knows what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I agree with the latter point. I think I was disagreeing with where you were going to a certain degree. The AEW main product is the Moxley show right now, and I don't say that in a in the the making fun of version of it. It's not a critique. It's just what it is. Like, we keep calling it the Mox World Order. I'm not going down that joke. Like, he is the star of that show when they're kicking off that. And I assume that they're going to use the Elite to come back. Like, honestly, I bet you that the Bucks come back as faces, because why not?
Why
not? Sure, threw shade there. But putting them over in Japan and that relationship, I'm with you. The shortcoming is not talking about the fact that you're not overly promoting Kenny Omega's return seems real big miss. Like, it's like, that's
like irresponsible, right? Like,
like, he's been gone for so long. His tease to come back was built, and now that we're here, it's not on AEW. Like, what is the deal? I get it. If Kenny Omega is still limited, and they don't want him to like showcase how limited he is, to have that bigger return, there's some reasons there. But if you have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, three of your biggest stars,
and Ricochet's challenging for the IWGP title that night. Like this is a full on AEW New Japan co-hosting.
It's you need to promote this in a way, but I I get leaving it up to New Japan to promote it to a certain degree as well. But you're right. This is something that more people need to see. I think, honestly, some of their marketing efforts in general of promoting this, it always seems like a bit of a miss. I don't think they get the word out enough. And when they are up against competition, we've said this in the past, that they kind of like go back into their shells. Like, whenever they're head to head with NXT, like, you get like the B Squad, not the B Squad, but like, you get like the first hour and a half is always segments, and like, they're not a segment house. They're about the wrestling matches.
They're a match. What happened to the dream matches now?
So like, it almost feels like this might fall into that, where since it's New Japan, there's less interest in the US just inherently. So let's not support it at all. So when it doesn't do as well, we could just say, oh, well, we didn't support that. That's why it didn't do well. And like, that's the same thing with that. It's like, oh yeah, of course they beat us in the ratings there. We didn't put any wrestlers on. We just did some storyline progression. We like, why is everyone confused? Which is not a good excuse. It's a terrible excuse.
It's a terrible excuse.
I could see where the mindset is coming from in a delusional state.
Also, so I also get what you were saying about if Kenny is limited, like you don't want to showcase him necessarily on your product too much. But if he's that limited, he wouldn't be making a return in front of 70,000 people at the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, but there's a difference. I think he's probably more over in Japan than he is in the U.S. Maybe I'm wrong.
Probably. He definitely is. Even his presentation is kind of different. I always throw this one to Hound. It feels like some of these guys that are so over and their presentation is so big, and then AEW, even on their big pay-per-views, it doesn't feel like their presentation is big enough, and they don't feel big enough. And I don't mean like actual size. I mean the size of their character, the scope of their character.
Yeah, I feel you. And so, like, that's the thing. Like, this could be like a guest spot more than a real return kind of thing.
He's wrestling Gabe Kidd, which is that if they go all out, that could be a really great match. I'm looking forward to this.
That would prove that statement wrong. Like I'm speculating. That's what we're doing in this moment in time, is just speculating. And like if they go out, but like if they put on kind of a slower paced match, they go through the process, it's still solid because I'm sure he won't go out there and do, but like it's very low risk. I could see that being the reason why they didn't put a big spotlight on. He goes out there and goes balls to the walls. Then I got nothing for
you. Let's see. To go along with what we've just been talking about a little bit, AEW Grand Slam Australia is actually moving venues because of lower ticket sales. Again, this seems, much as we were just talking about different marketing and stuff for them, this seems like a miss on their marketing department, because we just saw WWE out there, and they filled the stadium, and the Australian wrestling community, from talking to Australian wrestlers, is hot right now.
Sure. I actually commend them for this move, because we've said on this show numerous times
they need to go smaller.
If you can't fill that, Australia's tough, man. It's a tough market to fill a stadium. Elimination Chamber, they had a hard time filling that stadium.
That is true.
And it is headlined by Rhea Ripley.
That is also true.
If anything else, not about the marketing, which I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're doing in Australia. If you give me, can we expense tickets on the show? Do we have? Can we?
We
trip to Australia?
Soon.
Okay, soon.
I think we're about 6 months out from that.
Good. That'd be fantastic.
Next fiscal year.
How
would we know?
No, I don't know. How would you know? So I don't know what they're actually doing down there. I think what the misstep might be is that they're not promoting enough of their native talent. There's not enough Australians that are really being pushed in this way, because Toni Storm is Australian, right?
Yes, and she's been she has been pushing it, but also there's that.
But is she on the card?
We don't know, because we don't know what the card is, and she also posted something, and I'm sure this is just Toni Storm in character, that she's retiring. And again,
she retired. She's never wrestling again.
Which I also think that's in character, timeless Toni Storm.
This is the storyline that I talked about. I don't know if you guys are watching. Like, I wrote all this out on this show. I'll tell you what, this was an easy guess. I give Toni full credit. She wasn't listening to me in this one. She had this planned out months ago. But this is the scorned ex-celebrity that's now come out of her spotlight, and is now a shell of her former self, or however you might want to say it. She doesn't have it anymore. She keeps losing. I love it. She's the reason why I go back to AEW.
That is fair.
She's my favorite storyline in all of it. Since I started watching.
So Showtime, this is where I'll agree with you a little bit more about the Grand Slam stuff, though. So whereas Grand Slam Australia, I need to word this one right. Grand Slam Australia, them moving venues because it's a major pay-per-view and they're really trying to attack a new marketplace. Unfortunately, it feels like a little bit of a loss. And I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it feels like a loss. This is where I think they're doing the right thing on AEW side. They're going to start running some smaller venues domestically, which is what we have been saying. If you can't fill a 15,000 seat arena, stop running 15,000 seat arenas.
Go to 5, go to 7.
Because if you go to a 5,000 seat arena and you sell 3,500 tickets and you do a big enough set, that's a filled arena. Like it looks full. You know, like if all you have to do is black off the upper deck or something like that, it doesn't look so weird. But again, we'll see how this works out. I'm still waiting to see how AEW bounces back after Full Gear and their full reset, as my partner over here so eloquently put it.
Yeah.
But that's
that was Mox's. I feel like that was even stealing that from Moxley. They need to get it together. And I think that they're on the precipice of getting back to it. I don't even know if they needed a full reset. Going into this, it just progressed storylines. The way that they kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and the way they managed some of this stuff is just kind of weird. I think that Grand Slam could be something very successful. I agree with everything you just said about the going to smaller venues. Make it feel bigger on TV, because that's how you build it to be bigger afterwards.
And also, if there's less, if you can sell at a venue, then there creates more demand for it, right? Like, hey, it was supposed to be 3,500. We sold 3,500 and 36 weren't able to get in, basically. But with that said, let's move on to what we do actually cover on the show, which is we do TNA and WWE. So let's start off with this week's Total Nonstop Action, their Impact episode. And this show opens up with Alicia Edwards versus Masha Slamovich in a knockout, no DQ title match. And the winner of this faces Jordynne Grace at Turning Point. Now, Showtime, we had talked a little bit about this because I know there was a bit of confusion on how we got to this point. For anyone who is paying attention to how we are reporting this, basically last week on Impact, Alicia and Masha got into it. Masha said, let's just end this. We'll have a no DQ match this week. And then Jordynne came out and said, I've already talked to Santino. I'm invoking my rematch clause. So unfortunately, you guys are fighting for the right to get to fight me.
Yeah.
So just for any of the fans out there that are trying to keep up, this is that is the way it went. And
it makes a lot of sense. You know, I originally was like, wow, it feels like that they should do number one contendership stuff. But like actually having a challenge clause and then challenging is refreshing. Like I've said that on the show a few times around, like, why wouldn't they get a rematch? Like, I feel like once the champion, particularly a champion that's held the belt for a while, why wouldn't they get that immediate
rematch?
Thank you. Hard word. Oof, rematch.
Oof.
Who knew that?
Oof.
Like we just don't get it. It's almost like someone loses a title and then they kind of fade into oblivion. Like Swerve didn't really get his rematch when he lost the title. That seemed strange. And like a few of the other ones, like even Roman didn't. He had held that title forever and he never got a rematch. And I get there's different.
And I feel like that's bad management on Paul Heyman's part. He should have been better about that, because he managed to put in there that he didn't need to defend it every 30 days, but he didn't put in a rematch clause just in case.
But maybe that's what he negotiated out of, because he figured out a way that he thought he would never lose it. So why need a rematch clause?
That's fair.
He's playing 4D chess.
Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry, I don't mean to bash Heyman ever, because he's a genius.
How dare you? Don't you dare question the wise man.
That is fair. Sorry, I'm sorry. So TNA this week is emanating from North Carolina. That's Jim Crockett country, horseman country, if you will.
Oh, my hand's cramping up.
Oh my god, this is wrestling area. Like, North Carolina knows wrestling, man. So you can't fake it with them. This match was really good. Alicia keeps impressing me, and I don't normally. I hadn't seen as much of her, and especially since they were they've been doing the injury angle with the neck and stuff like that. I'm not saying she didn't have an injury, because she did actually have an injury, but obviously they carried it further. So, but now she does really great job as a heel. She makes me want to hate her. But at the same time, as much as she's a cowardly heel, she also seems like a threat when she wants to be. And I think that's important. Like, you can't always be cowardly, or even while you're being cowardly, it has to be conniving and cowardly. Like, and she does that very, very well. We end up getting Masha winning the match. She wins it with the package pile driver, which for some reason is so cool, but hey, they ended the match with a pile driver.
Yeah. Oh, and someone stayed down?
And they stay down, which it's also funny because the way that you kind of sit out with the package pile driver actually makes it seem like it might be the safest of the pile drivers.
I still think Greetings is the safest of the pile drivers, but
that's fair.
Oh, for the one receiving it, maybe not the one giving it.
That's fair. Okay. And I mean, if you do a tombstone the right way with on the knees and stuff like that, I could see that. But realistically,
you can easily slip there. If you're doing Greetings and you have someone's waist over your shoulder, it's hard for them to slip in that.
So I think when I'm saying this, I think I mean of just the traditional sit out pile driver. Not counting the Greetings, the package might be like it's better than the gotch. It's better or whatever you want, the cradle pile driver, right? That's what Jerry used to call it.
Yeah, but I think that is the least safe of all the pile drivers.
That's what I'm saying.
You have somebody like this.
I think the package, because of how they're all bound up and stuff, and you sit backwards with it. But again, they ended it with that move. Good for them, because it should be the finish.
It's so fun. Sorry, not to throw more shade at AEW, but it's so funny how you can end a match with the moneymaker, but yet someone getting head spiked on stairs. We got another 7 minutes of this.
You mean the Rainmaker? The clothesline?
Oh, yes, the Rainmaker. Sorry. He's the moneymaker, right?
He's the moneymaker, because he's the bonus baby.
Yeah, sorry.
After the match, we get some shenanigans involving Tasha Steelz and Jordan Grace, which is obviously all going to lead to this turning point. I guess we can still call it a pay-per-view. It is going to be available on their on their TNA Plus app, so we will be watching it.
Is this a PLE, not a pay-per-view?
I guess this would be considered a PLE. It's a premium live event. Immediately, the next match is Jody Threat from Spitfire versus Ash by Elegance. I love this feud between Spitfire and the El Guy. Are we calling them the Elegorans?
I would think it's not the Elegances. I feel like that's too much. I think El Guy would be the move.
Like more than one grilled cheese is grilled cheese eye.
No, but yeah.
I think the elegant.
Is it like the plural of moose or goose? Like, is it just the elegance?
Elegance. It might be. I think they're perfect heels. Honestly, they've been
great.
I'm very entertained with this feud and their lead up to this eventual Knockouts tag team title match. I think that Ash and Heather are going to actually win these tag team titles. I think it's a nice push for them. I know at one point we were all kind of hoping that Ash was going to win the Knockouts title, just the singles title, but I think this tag team title is perfect for them. Ash ends up winning this. Again, shenanigans involved. There's shenanigans. This all makes sense to me, though. I think that they do a lot of really good work here. I've been really impressed with Ash and Heather by Elegance. I was impressed with Heather by Elegance when she was still just Heather Reckless, though. So just to point that out, I think she brings a great in-ring work aspect to where Ash brings this star quality and stuff like that too, where it's a nice balance between the two. The next segment is a Mike Santana in-ring promo. first of all, man, is Santana over. Like he's
Oh,
not.
he's so over.
He's not
And
like
he's
Joe
good.
Hendry over, but like he is over, man. Like
It's different, but Mike Santana is more of the in-ring amazing return story. Like he's got everything going for him. Like he will be the face of this company in the near future.
I think so. He's more of the traditional pro wrestling over. What you think of as pro wrestling being over. And literally what you just said, I've written here. I think Santana will win a world title sooner than later.
Yeah, he'll be one of the like let this wave of it. Like in my mind, this wave of it right now is Nick Nemeth, Joe Hendry, and Frankie Kazarian. Maybe I'm overshouting for Frankie. I think Frankie needs to be in that title picture. I could see Mike Santana winning the title off of Frankie.
I could absolutely see that, and I would be
I
really
could see
happy
that being
with
the
it.
move. Yeah. And so, like, give him like within the next year or so, like let this all kind of shuffle out, and we'll go there.
Because I think this is actually the precursor to that, because during this promo, Santana says he's going to sit on the throne and be the face of TNA. I almost said AEW. Sorry, TNA. And Kazarian, of course, comes out because you can't say you're going to sit on the throne, and the King's not going to come out and be mad about it. Obviously, he's the King of TNA. So this turns into a match for Turning Point. Once again, Frankie Kazarian having the line of this show, because as he says he's going to go talk to, or as Santana says he's going to go talk to Santino Marella and get this match made, Frankie goes, I requested that night off. I requested it off months ago. Oh, I guess he doesn't have a night off. And honestly, I could see Santana winning this, and that leading into Frankie eventually cashing it in, depositing. Are we still calling it depositing? That that cup to get his world title, him winning the world title, and that leading to Santana being like, well, I beat you months ago. I think we
that's long-term storytelling and at its best.
I think you don't have as much claim to that title as I do, as far as I'm concerned. So, and also I think this is going to be an awesome match. Like, let's not downplay this. This is the match that I'm probably most excited for Turning Point now.
I agree.
This whole thing though leads into, so while Santana goes to storm off to talk to Santino, who comes out
before you move on from that. I hope Frankie no shows.
Just because he requested off.
Yeah, I really want to see the match. Don't get me wrong, but he took time off, and you should respect PTO. And it's not fair if he took this off months ago. He should have that night off. So I would just love, like, his music hits, and then like an out of office email comes up on the big screen. Like that's such a Frankie thing to do. It would be freaking. Honestly, I want, like, can we send this to Frankie? We got a long relationship with him.
I'm gonna message him all of this.
Even if he just sneaks in the crowd afterwards and we still get that match, but I just want a nice PTO email up on the screen when his music comes off being like, thank you for your thoughtful email. I'll be out of the office on these dates. Please reach out to Santino Morales for any immediate come on, I guarantee you no one's done that before.
No, but oh my god, but if someone's going to, Frankie Kazarian.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Oh man. So this immediately segues, and this is a better segue than I've seen it in on other shows that have done this, into Kazarian versus Rhino, which was already set. This is a classic babyface heel match. These are two veterans. I'm not surprised that the match is good. I thought they worked around the fact that Rhino obviously doesn't move quite the same way he used to. And Kazarian gets the win, as he should, since he is the guy that is being pushed basically to the moon right now.
We give a little bit of shade to TNA about their production quality. I think that we don't give them enough, victories or pats on the back on the pacing of their shows, because this is a 2-hour show and they fit in more wrestling than anyone else. Like, they fit in more wrestling than AEW, I feel like. And some of these hot starts is how you cut down that time. And it really keeps the show moving in a good pace. You're talking about in this show. You have 8 segments, not counting all the other little things that happened on. You have multiple matches, multiple really strong segments going through it in 2 hours. This easily would be a 3-hour show from WWE.
Easily, because they would have 72 commercials in it too. But so Kazarian gets the win, like you said. He's but while he's celebrating and kind of rubbing it in Rhino's face, what does he get for his troubles? No, of course, a gore, because no one's kicked out of a gore.
They've kicked out of spears.
No one's ever kicked out of a gore. If they have, it's been a spear.
That's a spear. It's completely different.
We get this amazing Steve Maclin vignette. This is epic. Like, I know we talk about their production quality, and don't get me wrong, this could have maybe been a hair better on production, but not much. Like, this is TNA's production at their best, as far as I'm concerned. First of all, they're kind of showing Maclin having PTSD and not trusting anyone, showing flashback pictures of both of his tours in Afghanistan, things like that, not to mention also still and showing some of his pictures of his happy stuff, his marriage and things like that. And just honestly, this is really grounded and really personal, and having him have this almost like broken mind stuff, it was really cool, man. Like,
I think this really does a good job with that broken mind aspect of things. Honestly, it kind of came off better than some of the Wide Six things we've been seeing recently when they're trying to go for a similar feel and tone. You always got to be careful when you shine a spotlight on the military stuff. Like, you don't want to use it too much for entertainment because this is a serious situation. But someone like Maclin is definitely is a person that I think, I don't want to say get away with it, but not just use it for entertainment purposes, but put a little bit of a spotlight on it so people understand it more. And it's at the forefront. So like, this was really, really entertaining, and I thought this was really well done.
I love this stuff that they're doing, and like him again, like just the way they're doing it, they made it seem like he was a soldier that came home. And even it starts off with him in a bar drinking whiskey, and the bartender asks, when did he get back? And his response is, I never left. Which is kind of, that's the soldier. That's, for those of you who don't know, Maclin is a true, like, he's a Marine.
He's a Marine,
you're never an ex-Marine. You're a Marine. Like, that's who you are. I've known Steve for a long time, and he's a great guy, and I'm so happy for his success, because this stuff that he does, it's so believable, and it works so well, and it's moving this storyline great. So again, we don't necessarily bash, we critique TNA on their production quality because it's probably something they can't really control. This was great production. This was amazing. Good. I'm going to give you 2 thumbs up for this one. We get a tag team match. Again, this show moves along really nicely. A tag team match with Leon Slater, who has been very impressive. He's 20 years old. He's going to be a great star in this X division. Laredo Kid, and they're going to face the Systems, Moose, and JDC.
Come on, I got to put that phone on silent there, Steven.
Sorry, bud.
Man, oh man. The lack of professionalism around here.
All of the professionalism. The match is really good, man. We get a lot of Moose being a powerhouse, which is what he should be, because he's 15 inches and 300 pounds heavier than both of these guys.
He's an actual moose.
He's an actual moose. He has horns. He shaved them off.
Like
just
Hellboy?
The match. Yes. The match is good. Again, I have nothing to complain about with TNA kind of ever. They don't necessarily give me the match of the week this week, but it might be because unfortunately there is no match of the week this week. There just wasn't. Nothing. There's a lot of go home stuff happening right now, and there was no Jonathan Gresham on the show, so that's a big one. But this match is good. It's honestly, like, I really liked the Masha versus Alicia, but this was probably my favorite match on the whole thing. We get a Joe Hendry promo. It's a short Joe Hendry promo. I just need to bring it up because we believe. Obviously, we believe. He says that he's even more dedicated than ever to obtaining the world title. I think that's good. I think he needs to keep dancing around it until he actually gets it, until we figure out if Nick's the face, if Ryan's the face, if no one's the face, if Joe Hendry is actually behind all this pulling
Frankie's
the strings.
The face. I think Frankie's the face. No, I can't make that. I can't make that claim. That one's just straight up. He's not the face.
He is not a baby face. This is not one of those where there's confusion amongst the fans.
No,
Frankie Kazarian.
He's not the big bad wolf who's just looking for a cup of sugar. I'm just saying those pigs overreacted.
Oh man. All right. So we get a quick Jordan and Masha segment just to let you know that this match at Turning Point has become 2 out of 3 falls, so that there can be no flukes amongst them. Like, there's going to be a clear-cut winner. I like that. First of all, these two going 2 out of 3 falls is going to be epic.
I wish I like what they did there, and I see where you're coming from. I wish this was a 30-minute Iron Woman.
I could see that. That would be nice too.
Like
Either one of these would.
It's essentially the same thing. It doesn't need to be 60 minutes, but a 30-minute Iron Woman match with these two physical specimens of just like beating each other. I could see a couple quick wins, a really nice long drawn out. Like, that would have been better than a 2 out of 3 falls. 2 out of 3 falls still encapsulates the same thing. It's not wrong. It just could have been more right.
It's fair. And we get our main event, and it's going to be the Hardys and Ace Austin versus Trent Seven, Hammerstone, and Jake something. The match is good. It's fun. All the members of the babyface team are rocking Jeff Hardy face paint. So it was a fun match to watch. The match is simple, which it kind of needs to be, because the Hardys unfortunately cannot do what they used to do as well. At least they can do some of it, just not all of it. Ace Austin does most of the heavy lifting as far as the in-ring work for his team, which makes sense. He's young, he's athletic. I really like Ace Austin. Again, we liked him with Chris Bay. I like him in general. And Trent Seven ends up getting the win of this after a well-timed low blow and a burning hammer. So maybe Trent is going to get a real push as a heel now that Mike Bailey is.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Just give him something. I can see him going right into like the X Division or something like that.
So, well, that was TNA this week, guys.
I do have to just say, before you move on, one thing I love, particularly when he's listed at the end, Jake something. It just feels like he forgot his last name, like he's insignificant. Like, it's such a good little touch. It's like, and then Jake something. It's like, oh my God, he forgot his name. No, that just happens to be his name. It just makes me giggle every time.
And he planned it like that. Like, it's amazing.
That's all intentional.
And he's such. And he's such a specimen too. He's such a great look.
He's got a good look. Like, this is, I don't know. We don't have to spend too much time on that. I just have to call it out because it makes me giggle every time.
Fair enough. But that was TNA. Again, a fun TNA this week. Let's move on to the dance, as they call it, the big show. Well, one of the big shows.
No, he's on the other. He's on the other one.
Different show. This is going to be the WWE and their episode of Friday Night SmackDown. We get an opening segment immediately with Bloodline 2.0, where even Bronson Reed is acknowledging Solo as the tribal chief. This makes sense to me because Bronson Reed is also Samoan. Mm-hmm. So let's go down this line. Like, he could actually be part of the Bloodline. They're all kind of related, aren't they? They're not all related, but
I wish there was just a couple seeds prior to this. Like, because he just feels like he's mashed into this team. And I could see someone being like, who do we sign up with the new bloodline here? We need a fifth person. You look Samoan. Come on over. Like, that's how
I am Samoan.
I am. Oh, okay. Oh,
well,
you're
good. You
Samoan?
look it.
You're not just Filipino, and I'm going to put you into the LWO.
He's not even really there anymore.
That's fine. It's fine. I'm just throwing shade. So like, I just wish there was a couple scenes, like if you could have seen them talking in the background a couple months ago, or something along those lines. And maybe this is just a last minute switch to kind of get them in here. But yeah, this team, there's a lot of really good people in this one. I'm excited to see how they show up.
Yeah, Bronson Reed and Jacob Fatu being on the same team scares the hell out of me.
I could see that being a gnarly tag team. Like them having like a long tag team run. Like,
yeah, like who's going to stop this?
No one.
I know I say this every week, and I'm going to touch on it because I think I finally figured out why it annoys me so much. Solo needs to stop doing the mocking funny Solo bit. Like it doesn't work. Unfortunately, he kind of looks like the little brother who's either trying to fill the big brother's shoes or is mocking the big brother when they're trying to be serious.
Well, sorry to break this to you, Steve, but he is the little brother.
I mean, he is the little brother.
Mocking the big brothers while they're trying to be serious.
That's the thing. And like, it unfortunately comes off exactly what it is, which isn't necessarily the best. Like, all I can think of is like, look what you did, you little jerk.
But like, honestly, I'd actually have no problem with it if that's what they were going for. But that's not how they built Solo beforehand. Like,
no,
like it could easily.
He needs to be scarier.
Like, I agree.
Oh, so we get another qualifier match for the women's U.S. title. It's a 3-way between Bianca Belair, Blair Davenport, and I'll let you have this one, Showtime.
Chelsea Green.
Perfect. It's always money. Right on point there. During this match, we find out. First, let me talk about the match a little bit. Sorry. I want, please let Chelsea Green win this tournament. Please just let it happen.
Please.
Let me have what I want. We get a lot of nice quick pinfalls to try to start this match, which I like that. I like the idea that they're trying to win. Chelsea hits a second rope sunset flip, which you barely see anymore. Like, I really like that move. And Blair Davenport actually ties Bianca up with her hair, which is probably where Daniel Garcia and Jack Perry stole the idea for at Full Gear, because that was literally the next day.
I will say there is a lot of stealing between the shows. I've noticed in the past. Like, I remember, was it Eddie that chopped the ring post, and then you saw it on double WWE like the next day. Like I think Gunther did it. I don't remember exactly where it was. It was a couple months ago. But there's a few of those that you see, like they were definitely watching it. Like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that before most of the fan base sees it.
So during this match, we find out that Jade Cargill has been attacked.
Oh my!
Oh no! She has literally been put through like the hood and windshield of a car from like the loading dock. Why was the car just sitting there? That never works good. So Bianca ends up leaving and it helps with Chelsea. Chelsea Green gets the win.
Chelsea Green.
And to advance. So all I have to say about it, yay.
Yep, I'm ready for her to have some gold. I don't love that they just made a duplicate title for the women's U.S. title and maybe some other things that we'll talk about next.
I mean, that's what they did with the world titles, though, too. They're just the duplicates of those titles.
That's different. It's the world title. Like Unless you wanted to be like the Galactic Champion, which that's lame. That's an
Well, I
AEW
meant
title.
but like the title themselves is like
No, I get that, but I just
you
wish
meant
they
like
would have named
maybe
it
not
something
just
different.
have done a women's U.S. title, done like a different,
like a women's North American title, a women's whatever you want to change it. Like bring back the European title for the women instead of the Intercontinental title or the U.S. title, whatever you want to call it. There's just I don't know. I just would have liked a little bit different than rather than just be like, okay, we have this one, so let's do this. World titles, I get. The women's titles, I wanted a little bit. Like I don't need the Divas.
So you wanted a different title completely. I thought you meant like the fact that they looked the same.
No,
Sorry, that was where my confusion was. I see where you're going with it now. But again, please let Chelsea Green win this.
Please.
So Showtime, I feel like after our preview episode for Survivor Series, we agree on this. Who attacked Jade?
I have some ideas. So it can't be Bianca. She could be also behind it, but she was in the ring.
That doesn't mean that she wasn't attacked before she went out to the ring. That's just when they found her.
I guess so. Like
because like you didn't hear anything. They just showed her found on the car hood.
She's there. I actually think it was Naomi.
I was leaning towards that, like, because she's so mad about like all the like mistrust towards Bailey and stuff like that. And
it can't be Bailey. They just turned her face.
It can't be Bailey. It'd be too. It's too easy.
And Naomi fits the bill really well. It could be Io and Damage Control because it makes no sense that she's in this match. They were literally just feuding and actually just joining the team, and this plot coming out could go like I could see 3 women doing this to Jade. I find it hard to believe unless you're really unsuspecting that one woman could do this to Jade the way they've been building her. There's a few people it could be. I could see it end up being Piper and Chelsea. That kind of set this up because Piper's someone who's big enough, strong enough to do this, to get the titles off of them so they can actually win them. Like that kind of convoluted. Like if I take them out, they're no longer a risk, and then we're the ones that win the titles. Like that kind of convoluted the story. So I'm excited. Like I know I didn't give a direct answer. If I have to give a direct answer, I'm going to go Naomi because I like that storyline, and like a little bit of the jealousy aspect of things. She can go heel, and then after a minute, it's discovered that Bianca was behind it too, where Naomi did it while Bianca was in the ring, so Bianca wouldn't be a suspect.
I like that. Actually, that one works. We now have a U.S. title match between LA Knight, and Santos Escobar. Right as like kind of the match is starting, we get a really scary Shinsuke Nakamura vignette in Japanese, which I always think works best for him is with the subtitles and like the art and everything. Santos jumps LA basically as the vignette is finishing. The match is good. I expect the match to be good, but it's predictable. The only part that's not predictable is there's the finish to the match is really cool how they flow into the BFT for LA Knight. And then, of course, Shinsuke comes down and attacks LA Knight, leading to the U.S. title match at Survivor Series War Games. So we get a little bit backstage with Motor City Machine Guns, Gargano, and the Profits. I have a theory on this. I don't think Gargano is the good guy.
Yes.
I think he's going along with Ciampa at the end of this, and I think DIY is going to go full heel. I think. I don't know. It seems like he's just way too far in the other direction for this to not go that way.
I mean, like, what are they? Yeah, I could see that.
Otherwise, you basically just have 2 Motor City Machine Gun teams.
Yeah.
And here's the big one that I really liked. Cody Rhodes and the Kevin Owens face-off.
Yeah,
is KO the heel?
I really appreciate Kevin Owens going in his best attire.
I love the tuxedo t-shirt. Oh my god, it's so amazing. I I love that he wore the tuxedo T-shirt and then makes fun of Cody by saying, "Well, at least you're not wearing your stupid politician suit this week."
Yeah.
Again, he's a politician. Is Cody a real babyface, or is he just playing the part of a babyface?
I think he's playing a part of the babyface, and Kevin Owens is a real one. He's the big bad wolf. Now
he's the big bad wolf. He's misunderstood.
It's my new thing. My son coined it.
He's a flawed hero. He's Johnny Lawrence.
He's the one you expect to do the bad thing, so you put that on him until he does. You back him into a corner until he has to blow your house down. I say it. He just needed a cup of sugar. Gotta keep going.
I want to know if Cody can actually improv some of his own stuff, because most of the stuff I really like from him seems like it's been since his comeback to WWE a couple years ago. It seems like it's been the stuff that's been off the cuff more than what he so clearly is rehearsing.
I do think he can, but let's just be real. It's so much easier to do that when you're a heel. When you're a heel, you could say whatever you want. When you're a face, you have to be really protected, and it's hard to do that off the cuff.
When KO calls him a politician, I just have written here, he's clearly listening to us, because
obviously.
Yeah. Owens kills this promo, and I believe it. Cody, even during the promo, is kind of an a-hole. And I hate the fact that Cody has to have the last word of this, because Owens leaves with such a great ending statement, and then Cody has to say something, which again makes him an a-hole.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets in the back, and Carmelo Hayes also calls him an a-hole, basically. Says that Kevin Owens is right, and then Cody pulls his politician stuff and says, maybe we should maybe Nick Aldis needs to rethink his number 1 draft pick. That's some politician stuff. That's some...
And that's a heel comment.
That is a heel comment. That's the stuff that Kevin's been talking about, and...
Coming from the guy who said, I like you, kid. You shot your shot in your first night, and you came at me, and I gave you that match. To maybe they need to rethink his number 1 draft pick it's cold-blooded.
That's cold-blooded. That's heel stuff. That's again, he's out in front of the camera. He's kissing babies. He's shaking hands.
No, he's shaking babies and kissing hands.
He's doing all of that stuff. And then he gets behind the scenes, and all of a sudden, he's flipping his coworkers the bird.
I'm just saying, it's...
tag team match to try to build up the women's the women's war games. It's Bayley and Naomi versus Candice LeRae and Tiffany Stratton. Nia attacks Naomi at the end of this. We get a DQ finish. Again, there's just not much going on. The match doesn't have very good pacing. My theory is that I go along with you on this one, Showtime. I think Naomi wants to go faster than she actually can.
She has such a good style. I just want her to speed up. And if she doesn't, you just gotta stop.
So the funny thing is I'm going to say the opposite. I think if she slows down, it'll actually look like she's speeding up. I think she's trying to rush to the next thing so much that it screws up her timing. And when we used to hear guys like Jerry Lynn talk about his matches with Rob Van Dam, which seems so fast. He's like, they weren't fast to us. We were just going at this pace. And the pace, and that's the thing, is if you can keep the pace, it works.
If she can get that down, I would say I think she's the best women's wrestler, actual wrestler.
I think she's up there. I mean, she used to be. I also know she's had some injuries, so I think she's still working. She's learning how to work within the confines of the injuries that she's had. So I will give her that grace.
Yeah,
if you will.
I'm not throwing shade. I'm just I see it. It's right there. And I
just wanted her to get over that hump.
Yeah, I would say she's an actual better technical wrestler than someone like Rhea, who we gush over. It'd be right there in the Becky conversation, in my opinion. I know.
I could see that. Right, yeah.
And that's what, if you remember Elimination Chamber, when Naomi and Becky started, that's when I started this narrative, because that could have been perfect. And it just was like, oh, I love what you're trying to do. It just wasn't crisp enough.
By the end of this, we basically get Rhea out there with a kendo stick to make a save. A little bit of chaos a week before their actual go-home show. The next match is Montez Ford versus Tommaso Ciampa. So my main note for this is that both of these guys should be single stars.
Mm-hmm.
And probably both be heels. Ford ends up winning this with a roll through. Ciampa attacks him afterwards. And again, Gargano trying to keep the peace. I really don't think he's the good guy here. Or I don't think he is a good guy here.
Yeah.
And then we get what everyone has been talking about for this week. And that's the ending Bloodline segment. And what do we get? Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And he comes bearing a gift for the OG Bloodline. And that gift is the Second City Saint, the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk. And I like the standoff with Punk and Roman at the end. I love that we're going to have 5-on-5. I like the go to sleep and the spear at the same time. And for anyone who doesn't know, the clip of this is the most viewed clip on social media or YouTube in SmackDown history. This is huge. That if we have to judge things in the current climate of the world, that's how big this was.
Yeah, this was a good. I've heard that they've had this plan the whole time. This is a good way to return Paul. This is a great way to get CM Punk onto this card without really having any build. I know we constantly complain about there's not enough build. This doesn't need a build. This is them coming back. There is some. If you go back and watch some clips, CM Punk has always kind of given Roman his flowers and stuff, and he cut a promo not so long ago where he's the original Paul Heyman guy. And so this really kind of fell into place for me. I just wish there was someone who was a little bit more of a fit than Big Bronson Reed for CM Punk. And there is someone in the bloodline that you guys were talking about, this silly theory that's out there.
Silly rumor that some
where maybe Seth Rollins takes Bronson Reed out, and then the final boss shows up. I dig that, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I don't think it's gonna happen. All right, let's get on to Raw, and this is their go home episode before the big Survivor Series event. So honestly, not a lot happens here because that's the WWE's MO, is they don't like to have people getting hurt. Like, there is stuff, but not too much. We start off with a Gunther promo in ring. He's showing doubt again. I think this leads to him snapping and kind of being even more dangerous. But by the end of this, we get Priest coming out for their... This is pretty formulaic and the system for both companies. If the one guy comes out, the other guy has to come out. And, of course, Priest gets the better of Gunther again. It's hard to say.
Math.
Yeah, it's go home math. There is a backstage argument between the Babyface Women's War Game team where it seems like Bianca thinks that Bayley might have actually attacked Jade, or like just doesn't trust Bayley, even though Naomi is pushing for Bayley to be on the team.
That's a storyline long time in the making.
Yeah, but my issue with it is that, like, Bianca not trusting Bayley, it's like something that they're going back to now, but like they haven't touched on for so many months at this point.
But she's never been together with her again since last. It's not like so I have to disagree with that. Like, it's not like they teamed together for a little bit and everything was good, and then all of a sudden she doesn't trust her anymore. Like, there's a reason why that they haven't touched on this, because Bianca
she doesn't even want to be
far away from her as possible. No interactions. They played this well, and if Bianca is the one who did it, blaming Bayley is the right thing to do. Like, that is so easy to be like, it was clearly you.
You're untrustworthy.
But it was you that's untrustworthy.
We get a tag team match with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus the Creed brothers. Neither guy wearing LWO gear. That's nice. Also, why is this the tag team instead of the actual tag team that's on the team? Where are the other
they've been
two
doing this for a
members?
while. I think that what they're doing here is they're building Mysterio and Lee to have this epic, like passing of the torch match of who's going to be the mass superstar for the next 150 years, like Ray was. I think that's all this is, and like honestly, the rest of the LWO is all becoming background characters.
That's true. Also, I'm hoping that LWO versus American Made kind of gets finished soon. We get Chad interfering when he spins Race Mask around, and it gets American Made a win finally.
That made me pop. I feel like people don't do that enough.
I mean, especially like he doesn't have the thing that's like it's an actual like spandex mask, so just spin it around.
Just spin it around. Put his head in a paper bag.
We have your favorite. We get the R-Truth interacts with the New Judgment Day.
He's always a member. Once a member, always a member.
That's what I'm saying. Like he didn't patch out. Like he's still there. We have an an Intercontinental title match between Braun Breaker and Ludwig Kaiser. I'm not actually sure who the real heel is here. Like Braun is normally a heel, but Kaiser is an uber heel.
If you have to kind of put these things together, and then obviously this, I'm going to spoil the ending here. Sheamus comes down and throws a wrench in everyone's plans because he got screwed out of his title. But that's how I put this. Sheamus is the face, Braun is the neutral character, and Kaiser is the heel.
Kaiser's the uber
so
heel.
like that's how this three-way is being structured right now, because Braun is not really a heel in my opinion. He's just wild.
A beast. Yeah, he's wild. He's a dog.
Yeah, and so like in that situation, you can't leash him, and like, there's nothing stopping him. He does some things that are unscrupulous. Then like him switching allegiances to me doesn't really bother me as much because he's not doing things to get ahead. Like when he's hurting people, he's doing it because he's losing control, and I dig that.
That's fair. And so this leads to a three-way Intercontinental title match at Survivor Series. I'm kind of hoping that this is the blow-off for these three. Like, this needs to... these three need to go away from each other for a little bit, too.
I agree. It could be. And, I'm like overthinking my my prediction that we did yesterday. Not to... We all picked Braun to retain. But this... what's it called? Hound changed it to Sheamus, right?
I think so, yeah.
So, I could see this being what they wanted to do, where they took the title off of Braun originally to have him go up against Gunther. This could be the moment where they do that again to get him go after Gunther. I don't think that I probably won't change my opinion of this, but at the same time, I know I could see how I'm getting one on us on there.
It works, yeah. It kind of works with all three of them, no matter what, however they do it. We get our tag team title match, which WWE, you dropped the ball on this one because I had to search far and wide for a graphic for this match because you didn't have one about it. This is actually surprising because JD and Finn end up winning this match. Of course, there's a lot of shenanigans. Dom and Carlito come down to interfere. I honestly think that this leads to a rematch at Saturday night's main event. Because of the shenanigans. We get New Day and Alpha Academy. This is a squash match. Alpha Academy beats the New Day in about 2 minutes because of miscommunication, and it leads to the New Day possibly getting to the breaking point 1 week before their 10-year anniversary.
We have to be getting Big E, right?
I feel like if nothing else, Big E has to be the mediator of this, right? Like he needs to either get them on the same page or like, look, either get on the same page or we need to just say it's been a fun 10 years.
It's that I could also see Xavier Woods hurting Big E. Like if he's clear for any kind of action, like not an actual wrestling match, but for some
No, but
physicality,
like taking a chair, like taking a chair shot
or
to like the lower back or something like that.
yeah, something like that, or there's a kick that's supposed to go to Kingston and Big E gets in the way,
I
like
could see
some
that.
sort of thing. On the 10-year anniversary, the New Day has finally set.
We get a little bit of a Final Testament backstage thing where they're looking for the Wyatts, and unfortunately Scarlett is left behind with Nikki Cross, and they do a lot of stuff off camera with this. We get the announcement for the Women's Intercontinental title.
Woo!
For which we will get a tournament to decide the new champions on Raw, and that will start next week. Which
Who
good.
are you rooting for? Who is the Raw champion? Chelsea Green gets both.
Chelsea Green gets both. No, I don't know on Raw. If I wouldn't mind seeing like maybe a decorated world champion on this one, maybe like an EO or something like that getting this one. I think EO would work very well in this. I'd have to really look at the women's roster. I think that's the problem.
I have one theory on this, and it's not the same as cashing in for the U.S. title before, but Tiffany cashing in to be the first ever U.S. or Intercontinental champion, like in that finals match or whatever the deal is. Like that has like a legacy behind it. It has the like her character of needing to be that first, like being cemented in the history books, like a Ric Flair being the first ever WCW champion. Like that means something, and cashing in the Money in the Bank in order to be that first ever champion. Man, does that fit her story really well.
It does. The only issue is I know she's in the U.S. title tournament.
Sure. Don't get me wrong, but like something, she loses a match on accident. Someone
I can see
costs her that. It's just like that is a cool way to build and subvert expectations because everyone's looking at her to double cross Nia. What if that's never going to happen? Maybe this whole thing was set up for her to cash in on the Intercontinental title and go over Raw. Like, that'd be cool. Just not seeing that coming at all, because like we've talked a little bit about her cashing in on Liv, and that's been sprinkled a bit. I don't know, just throwing stuff out there, just see what sticks.
So the main event of the evening is a women's advantage match for their War Games. It's going to be Bianca Belair versus Nia Jax, and the winner's team gets the initial advantage at the War Games match, which means they'll get the first 2-on-1. Match is kind of exactly what you'd expect from these two. Bianca using speed, Nia needs to stop hunting for this comedy cell that she does. Like, I know she has the viral thing with Maho, but like even here, she runs shoulder first into the post hard and like falls out of the ring because of it. And her response is just, ow. Like that's what you say when you get pinched. Like that's not what you say when you almost dislocate your shoulder.
I don't think it's a deal. I don't think this is a thing. I like that she over exaggerates sometimes, and it shows a little emotion. She comes off a lot of times really cold and like has no personality. Sometimes it's either like she's too much or not enough. My whole thing always cracks me up. But this one, I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal by any means.
So the end of the match though is we get Bayley, who's not actually part of the team, comes out and helps Bianca. Forces Nia to fall onto an exposed turnbuckle. Bianca hits the KO, or she doesn't hit the KOD. I'm sorry. She hits the 450 splash and gets the advantage for the team, and that's how we get Bayley on the team and Bianca kind of giving her the look like she trusts her now. And that's how we close out the go-home episode of Raw before Survivor Series. No, for once, no shenanigans. No shenanigans. Which I thought was a little almost. I thought it was refreshing, but also could have been a little weak sauce at the same time.
Yeah. The brand split is gone.
Yeah. I'm glad we're doing the brand. We've been doing the brand split, but folks,
is there a there's a draft coming out too, right? Is there a new draft happening?
no, I think the next draft is usually after Mania. They usually do it after Mania, right after Mania, like a month. I think they do Mania and then like either right before or right after Backlash. They usually do it.
Rules don't matter anymore, but that's okay. Who cares?
That's fair. But Showtime, that's been the week in wrestling. As far as TNA and WWE goes, I know a lot of stuff we have talked about that there's been a little bit of a palate cleanse in wrestling as far as just everything goes. As always, AJ brought a boom. Let's hope for him to have a speedy recovery. Let's hope for Chris Bay to keep having a speedy recovery.
Thank you all. Please make sure you like and subscribe. Any kind of comments are cool. Tell your friends. Remember, you were the first to listen as we grow and get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, tell everybody. Tell people who don't like wrestling. Be like, look, there's these guys from New Jersey that like to make fun of each other while they talk about wrestling. You should listen to this. Check out our Full Gear review, our Full Gear preview, our Survivor Series preview. Next week we'll have a Survivor Series review. And there's some other stuff coming up. We have a lot of content coming out for you guys. Mm-hmm. We are trying our best to get everything out to you because we feel like we should. And Showtime, you got anything else for the peoples, the Legion, if you will?
No, we appreciate you all. Thank you for coming and supporting the show. Steven?
As always, guys, tuck your chin when you bump.